Matthew chapter 19. Now it occurred when Jesus had completed these sayings, that he withdrew from Galilee, and went into the boundaries of Judea on the other side of the Jordan River. And great crowds followed him, and he cured them there. Then the Pharisees. Note, Pharisees were members of the conservative Jewish sect, came to him and tested him, saying, "Is it allowed for someone to dismiss his wife for any charge?" Now in response he said, "Haven't you read that the Maker from the beginning made them male and female?" Genesis 1 verse 27, and said, "On this account a human must leave his father and mother, and must join himself to his wife, and the two will be one flesh." Genesis 2 verse 24, so that they are no longer two, but one flesh. So then, what Almighty has connected together, a human must not separate. They said to him, "So then, why did Moses direct him to give a scroll of divorce, and to dismiss her?" Deuteronomy 24 verse 1. He said to them, "Moses, in view of the hardness of your hearts, permitted you to dismiss your wives. Yet from the beginning it wasn't to become like this. Now I say to you, whoever dismisses his wife, except for non-marital sexual intercourse, Deuteronomy 24 verse 1, and marries another, is having extramarital sexual intercourse." The students said to him, "If that is the charge for a human with his wife, it would cause improvement not to marry." Yet he said to them, "Not everybody has the capacity to carry out your saying, but only those to whom it has been given. For there are eunuchs who are born like this out of their mother's belly, and there are eunuchs who are made eunuchs by humans, and there are eunuchs who have made themselves eunuchs because of the heavenly kingdom. Whoever is able to have the capacity to carry it out must be doing so." Then some little children were brought to him, so that he might place his hands on them and pray. Yet the students rebuked them. Yet Jesus said to them, "Let the little children come to me, and stop forbidding them, for the heavenly kingdom belongs to one such as these." Then he placed his hands on them and went from there. Now notice, someone came to him and said, "Teacher, what good thing should I do to have life in the last age?" Yet he said to him, "Why do you ask me about what is good? There is one who is good. Yet if you want to enter into life in the last age, you must keep the directions." He said to him, "Which?" Now Jesus said, "You must not murder. You must not have extramarital sexual intercourse. You must not steal. You must not give false testimony. You must be continually honoring your father and mother." Exodus 20 verses 12 through 16. "And you must be continually loving your neighbor as yourself." Leviticus 19 verse 18. The youth said to him, "I have maintained all of these. What do I still need?" Jesus affirmed to him, "If you want to be complete, you must go sell your possessions and give the money to the poor. Then you will have treasure in the heavens. Then you must come here and be continually following me." Yet when the youth heard this word, he went away being sorrowful, for he had many acquisitions. Now Jesus said to his students, "Truly I say to you, it will be difficult for a rich person to enter into the heavenly kingdom. Yet again I say to you, that it is easier for a camel to enter through the eye of a sewing needle than for a rich person to enter into Almighty's kingdom." Now when the students heard this, they were tremendously astonished and said, "Therefore, who can be saved from destruction?" Now Jesus looked at them and said to them, "With humans this is impossible, yet with Almighty everything is possible." Then, in response, Peter said to him, "Notice, we have left everything and followed you. Therefore, what will we have?" Now Jesus said to them, "Truly I say to you, you who have followed me, in the rebirth when the Son of Humanity sits on his esteemed throne, you will also sit on 12 thrones, judging the 12 tribes of Israel. Then everyone who has left houses, or brothers, or sisters, or father, or mother, or wife, or children, or fields on account of my name, Jesus, will obtain 100 times over, and will inherit a share of life in the last age. Yet many of the first will be last, and the last first." Matthew chapter 20. For the heavenly kingdom is like a human head of a house, who went out at the same time as the start of early morning, 6 a.m., to hire workers for his vineyard. Now when he had agreed with the workers to a number 80 Roman coin for a day, he dispatched them into his vineyard. Now when he went out about the 3rd hour, 9 a.m., he noticed others standing idle in the marketplace. So he said to them, "You too must go into my vineyard, and whatever is just and right I will give to you." Now they went away. Now again he went out about the 6th hour, 12 noon, and 9th hour, 3 p.m., and did the same thing. Now about the 11th, 5 p.m., he went out and found others standing and said to them, "Why have you been standing here idle for the whole day?" They said to him, "Because no one has hired us." He said to them, "You too must go into the vineyard." Now as evening, 6 to 9 p.m. came on, the master of the vineyard said to his manager, "Call the workers and pay them their wages, beginning with the last ones to the first." Then those hired about the 11th hour, 5 p.m., came and got a number 80 Roman coin apiece. So when the first came, they surmised that they would get more, and they also got a number 80 Roman coin apiece. Now when they got it, they began grumbling against the head of the house, saying, "These last ones produced for just 1 hour, and you have made them equal to us, who have carried the burden of the day and the scorching heat." Yet in response to one of them, he said, "Fellow, I'm not injuring you. Didn't you agree with me for a number 80 Roman coin? Pick up what is yours and go away. Now I want to give to this last one just as to you. Am I not allowed to do what I want with whatever is mine? Or is your eye wicked because I'm being good?" So too the last will be first, and the first last. Now when Jesus was about to go up to Jerusalem, he took the 12 students aside privately, and on the road he said to them, "Notice, we are going up to Jerusalem, and the Son of Humanity will be delivered over to the chief priests and Bible scholars, and they will condemn him to death. Then they would deliver him over to the pagans, to be mocked and afflicted with lashes, and fastened to a stake. Then on the 3rd day he will be awakened." Then Salome, the mother of Zebedee's sons, came to him with her sons, worshiping him, and making a request for something from him. Now he said to her, "What do you want?" She said to him, "Say that in your kingdom these two sons of mine might sit, one at your right and one at your left." Now in response, Jesus said, "You aren't aware of what you are requesting. Are you able to drink from the cup that I'm about to drink?" They said to him, "We are able." He said to them, "You will drink from my cup, yet to sit at my right and at my left isn't mine to give, but it is for those for whom it has been made ready by my Father." Now when the other 10 heard this, they were resentful concerning the 2 brothers. Now Jesus called them to him and said, "You are aware that the chiefs of the pagans are like masters over them, and the great ones coerce them. It must never be like this among you. Rather, whoever wants to become great among you must continually be servant, and whoever wants to be first among you must continually be your slave. Just as the Son of Humanity didn't come to be served, but to serve, and to give his sentient being, or life, as a ransom for many." Now when they went out from Jericho, a great crowd followed him. Now notice, there were 2 blind persons who sat beside the road, and when they heard that Jesus was passing by, they yelled out, saying, "Master, have mercy on us, Son of David!" Yet the crowd rebuked them to be silent. Yet they yelled out even louder, saying, "Master, have mercy on us, Son of David!" Then Jesus stood still and summoned them, and said, "What do you want me to do for you?" They said to him, "Master, we want our eyes to be opened." Now Jesus felt compassion for them, and touched their eyes, and immediately they received their sight and followed him. Matthew chapter 21. Now when they drew near to Jerusalem, and came into Bethphage at the mountain of Olives, Jesus then dispatched 2 students, saying to them, "You must go into the village facing you, and immediately you will find a donkey, tied there and a colt with her. You must release them and lead them to me. Now if anyone says anything to you, you must declare, 'The Master needs them.' Yet he will immediately dispatch them back." Now this whole thing has occurred, so that what was declared through the prophet might be fulfilled, saying, "You must say to Zion's daughter, Jerusalem, notice, your king is going to come to you, unassumingly gentle, and mounted on a donkey, on a colt, the foal of a beast of burden." Zechariah 9 verse 9. Now the students went and did just as Jesus had arranged with them. They led the donkey and her colt, and placed their outer garments on them, and he sat upon them, the garments. Now most of the crowd spread their own outer garments on the road, yet others were chopping branches from the trees and spreading them on the road. Now the crowds proceeding and following him were yelling out, saying, "Hosanna, our Savior, to the Son of David! The one who has been blessed, the one who comes in the Master's name, Jesus." Musical composition 118, verse 26. "Hosanna, our Savior, among the highest." Then, when he entered into Jerusalem, the entire city was quaking, saying, "Who is this?" Yet the crowds were saying, "This is the prophet Jesus, from Nazareth in Galilee." Then Jesus entered into the sacred place, and threw out all those who were selling and buying in the sacred place. And he overturned the tables of the brokers, and the seats of those who were selling doves. Then he said to them, It has been written, 'My house must be called the house of prayer.' Isaiah 56, verse 7. Yet you are making it into a cave of robbers." Then the blind and lame came to him in the sacred place, and he cured them. Now when the chief priests and the Bible scholars noticed the marvels that he did, and the boys yelling in the sacred place, and saying, "Hosanna, our Savior, to the Son of David," they resented it. So they said to him, "Do you hear what these are saying?" Yet Jesus said to them, "Yes, haven't you ever read, 'Out of the mouths of the youngsters and nursing babies, you have prepared praise for yourself'?" Musical Composition 8, verse 2. Then he left them and went out of the city into Bethany, and spent the night there. Now in the early morning, 6 a.m., as he led them back into the city, he became hungry. So when he noticed one fig tree along the road, he went to it and found nothing on it except only leaves. So he said to it, "No longer by any means shall fruit come from you even to the last age." And the fig tree withered instantly. Now when the students noticed it, they marveled and said, "How did the fig tree wither instantly?" Now in response, Jesus said to them, "Truly I say to you, if you continually have faith and don't doubt, you won't only be able to do what was done to the fig tree, but even if you say to this mountain, 'Be picked up and thrown into the sea,' it will occur. Everything that you request in prayer, you will obtain, if you are continually having faith." Now when he went into the sacred place, the chief priests and the older ones of the people came to him while he was teaching, and said, "By what authority are you doing these things? And who gave you this authority?" Now in response, Jesus said to them, "I will also ask you one word, and if you tell me, I will also declare to you by what authority I am doing these things. From where was John's immersion? From heaven or from humans?" Now they began reasoning among themselves, saying, "If we say, 'From heaven,' he will declare to us, 'So then, why didn't you believe him?' Yet if we say, 'From humans,' we will have reason to be afraid of the crowd, for everyone holds John as a prophet." So in response to Jesus, they said, "We aren't aware." He also affirmed to them, "Neither will I tell you by what authority I am doing these things." Now what do you suppose? A human had 2 children, and he went to the first and said, "Child, go and work today in my vineyard." Now in response he said, "I am going, master." But he didn't go. Now he went to the second and said the same thing. Now in response he said, "I don't want to." Yet later he regretted it and went. Which of the 2 did what was wanted by his father? They said, "The latter." Jesus said to them, "Truly I say to you, that the tribute or tax collectors and the women who have had non-marital sexual intercourse are preceding you into Almighty's kingdom. For John came to you with the way of doing things that are right and just, and you didn't believe him. Yet the tribute or tax collectors and the women who have had non-marital sexual intercourse did believe him. Now even when you noticed this, you didn't even regret it later in order to believe him." You must hear another illustration. There was a human head of a house who planted a vineyard, and placed a barrier, a wall around it, and excavated a wine-treading trough in it, and built a tower, and leased it to farmers, and went traveling. Now when the harvest time for the fruits drew near, he dispatched his slaves to the farmers to get his fruits. Then the farmers took his slaves and lashed one, killed another, and stoned a third. Again he dispatched other slaves more than the first, and they did the same to them. Now later he dispatched his son to them, saying, "They will show respect for my son." Yet when the farmers noticed the son, they said among themselves, "This is the heir. Come on, let's kill him and have his inheritance." So they took him and threw him out of the vineyard and killed him. So then, when the master of the vineyard comes, what will he do to those farmers? They said to him, "He will destroy those bad people in a bad manner, and will lease the vineyard to other farmers, who will pay back to him the fruits in their time periods." Jesus said to them, "Haven't you ever read in the writings, the stone that was disapproved by the builders, it became the head cornerstone, a pyramid's top stone? It came from the Master, and it is marvelous in our eyes." Musical Composition 118, verses 22 through 23. "For this reason, I say to you, Almighty's kingdom will be taken away from you, and will be given to a nation who will produce its fruits. Whoever falls on this stone, its top point, will be broken into pieces, yet whoever it falls on, it will pulverize and scatter him like chaff." Now when the chief priests and the Pharisees heard his illustrations, they knew that he was saying these about them. So while they sought to hold him, they were afraid of the crowds, since they held that he was a prophet. Matthew chapter 22. Then in response, Jesus spoke to them again in illustrations, saying, "The heavenly kingdom is like a human king who made wedding festivities for his son. Then he dispatched his slaves to call those who had been called or invited to the wedding festivities, but they weren't willing to come. Again, he dispatched other slaves, saying, 'You must say to those who have been called or invited, "Notice, I have made ready my luncheon. My bulls and grain-fed animals have been sacrificed, and everything is ready. You must come on to the wedding festivities." Yet they didn't care and went away, one to his own field, another to his merchandise, and the rest took hold of his slaves and treated them with outrage and killed them. Now the king was angered and sent his troops and destroyed those murderers and set their city in flames. Then he said to his slaves, "The wedding is ready, yet those who have been called or invited weren't worthy of it. So then, go to the exits from the roads, and whoever you find, call to the wedding festivities." So when those slaves went out into the roads, they gathered everyone they could find, both wicked and good, and the wedding was filled with people lying back at the table. Now when the king entered to gaze at those lying back at the table, he noticed a human there who hadn't put on wedding clothes. So he said to him, "Fellow, how did you enter here without having on wedding clothes?" Yet he was still. Then the king said to the servants, "Bind his feet and hands, and throw him out into the outer darkness, where there will be weeping and the grinding of teeth. For many are called, yet few are chosen." Then the Pharisees went and held a consultation about how they might trap him in an expression. Then they dispatched their students to him, along with the Herodians, members of Herod's political party, saying, "Teacher, we are aware that you are truthful and teach the way of Almighty truthfully. and that you don't care about anyone special, because you aren't looking at the surface appearance of humans, showing favoritism. So then, tell us, what do you suppose? Is it allowed to pay poll tax to Caesar or not? Now Jesus knew their wickedness and said, Why are you testing me, you hypocrites? Show the poll tax currency to me. Now they brought to him a number 80 Roman coin. Then he said to them, Whose image and inscription is this? They said, Caesar's. Then he said to them, So then, you must pay to Caesar what belongs to Caesar, and to Almighty what belongs to Almighty. Now when they heard this, they marveled, and left him and went away. On that day, some Sadducees, who say that there is to be no resurrection, came to him and asked him, saying, Teacher, Moses said, if anyone dies who doesn't have children, his brother must marry his wife and raise up seed or children for his brother. Deuteronomy 25, verse 5. Now there were 7 brothers with us, and the first, after he had married, completed his life, and having no seed or children, he left his wife to his brother. Likewise also the second, and the third, until the 7th. Now later, after all, the woman died. So then, in the resurrection, whose wife of the 7 will she be? For they all had her. Now in response, Jesus said to them, You are being led astray, because you haven't become acquainted with the writings, or the power of Almighty. For in the resurrection, they aren't going to marry, or be given in marriage, but are going to be like Almighty's messengers in heaven. Yet concerning the resurrection of the dead, haven't you read what was declared by Almighty to you, saying, I'm the Almighty of Abraham, and the Almighty of Isaac, and the Almighty of Jacob. Exodus 3, verse 6. He isn't the Almighty of the dead, but of the living, those who will live in the last age. Luke 20, verse 38. Now when the crowds heard this, they were astonished at his teaching. Now when the Pharisees heard that he had muzzled the Sadducees, they gathered at the same place, and one of them, an expert in biblical law, asked, testing him, Teacher, what is the greatest direction in the law? Now he affirmed to him, You must be continually loving the Master your Almighty with all your heart, and with all your sentient being, and with all your mind. Deuteronomy 6, verse 5. This is the great and first direction. Now the second is like it. You must be continually loving your neighbor as yourself. Leviticus 19, verse 18. On these 2 directions hang all the law and the prophets. Now while the Pharisees were gathered, Jesus asked them, saying, What do you suppose about the Anointed One? Whose son is he? They said to him, David's. He said to them, So then, how is it that David, under the guidance of the Spirit, called him Master, saying, The Master said to my Master, You must sit at my right until I place your enemies underneath your feet. Musical Composition 110, verse 1. So then, if David calls him Master, how can he be his son? Now no one was able to respond a word to him, nor did anyone dare from that day on to ask him about anything any longer. Matthew chapter 23. Then Jesus spoke to the crowds and to his students, saying, The Bible scholars and the Pharisees sit on Moses' seat. So then, everything that they say to you, you must do, and be continually keeping it. Yet you must not be doing according to their acts, for they are saying things and not doing them. Now they tie up cargoes that are heavy and hard to carry, and place them on shoulders of humans, yet they aren't willing to move them with their finger. Now they do all their works in order to be gazed at by humans, for they are making wide their amulets, arm and forehead leather boxes containing verses of the law, and are magnifying their tassels, a reminder of the law. Numbers 15 verses 38 through 40. Now they are fond of the best reclining places at the suppers, and the best seats in the assemblies, and the greetings in the marketplaces, and to be called by humans, Rabbi, teacher. Now you must not be called Rabbi, for only one is your teacher, yet you are all brothers and sisters. Now you must not call one of you on the earth Father, for the heavenly one is your Father. You must not even be called leader, for only one is your leader, the Anointed One. Now the greatest person among you must continually be your servant. Yet whoever elevates himself will be humbled, have life removed from him, and whoever humbles himself will be elevated to life in the last age. Now how terrible it is for you, Bible scholars and Pharisees, you hypocrites, because you are locking up the heavenly kingdom in front of humans. For you aren't going to enter in yourselves, nor do you let those who are going to enter. No verse 14. How terrible it is for you, Bible scholars and Pharisees, you hypocrites, because you are going around on the sea and the dry land to make one convert, and when he becomes one, you make him more than double a son of Gehenna than yourselves. How terrible it is for you, you blind guides, who say, whoever promises with an oath by the temple, that is nothing. Yet whoever promises with an oath by the gold of the temple is obligated. You stupid and blind people, for which is greater, the gold or the temple that purifies the gold? Also you say, whoever promises with an oath by the altar, that is nothing. Yet whoever promises with an oath by the present upon it is obligated. You stupid and blind people, for which is greater, the present or the altar that is purifying the present? So then, whoever promises with an oath by the altar is promising with an oath by it, and by everything that is upon it. Now whoever promises with an oath by the temple is promising with an oath by it, and by the one who is making a home in it. Now whoever promises with an oath by heaven is promising with an oath by the throne of Almighty, and by the one who is sitting upon it. How terrible it is for you, Bible scholars and Pharisees, you hypocrites, because you are taking a tenth from the mint and dill and cumin, and have left the weightier matters of the law, judgment and mercy and faithfulness. Now it was binding on you to do these things, and not to leave the others. You blind guides, you strain out a gnat, yet swallow a camel. How terrible it is for you, Bible scholars and Pharisees, you hypocrites, because you resemble the whitewashed burial vaults that on the outside appear beautiful, yet inside are loaded with the bones of the dead and all sorts of uncleanliness. This is how it is with you, too. On the outside you are appearing to humans to be just, yet inside you are bulging with hypocrisy and lawlessness. How terrible it is for you, Bible scholars and Pharisees, you hypocrites, because you build burial vaults for the prophets and decorate the tombs of those who were just, and say, if we had been alive during the days of our forefathers, we wouldn't have been sharers with them in the blood of the prophets. Therefore, you are testifying against yourselves, that you are the sons of those who murdered the prophets. So go on, and also fill full your forefathers' measure of guilt. You snakes, you offspring of poisonous viper snakes, how shall you run away from the judgment of Gehenna? Destruction by the fire of the second death. Revelation 20, verses 14 through 15. For this reason, notice, I am dispatching to you prophets, wise people, and Bible scholars. You will kill and fasten some of them to stakes, and some you will afflict with lashes in your assemblies, and persecute them from city to city, so that all the just blood that has been poured out on the earth might come down upon you, from the blood of just Abel to the blood of Zechariah, Barachiah's son, whom you murdered between the temple and the altar. Truly, I say to you, all these things will arrive upon this generation. Jerusalem, Jerusalem, you who are killing the prophets and stoning those who have been dispatched to you. How many times have I wanted to gather your children, in the manner that a hen gathers her brood under her wings, and you, the children, wouldn't do it. Notice, your house, the temple, is going to be left to you. Almighty is deserting it. For I say to you, from this time on you shall by no means notice me, until you say, the one who has been blessed, the one who comes in the Master's name. Jesus. Musical Composition 118, verse 26. Matthew chapter 24. Now when Jesus came out and was going from the sacred place, his students approached to show him the buildings of the sacred place. Yet in response he said to them, You observe all these, don't you? Truly I say to you, under no circumstances shall a stone here be left upon a stone that won't be demolished. Now as he was sitting on the mountain of Olives, the students came to him privately, saying, Tell us, when will these things be? And what will be the sign of your presence at the beginning of the last age, and the conclusion of the age? Yet in response, Jesus said to them, You must be continually looking out, so that no one leads you astray. For many will come using my name, or my title, saying, I am the Anointed One, and will lead many astray. Now you will begin to hear battles, and hear news about battles. You must continually see to it that you aren't being alarmed, for it has to occur. But that isn't yet the completion of this world. For nation will get up against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there will be famines and quakes in places. Yet all these things are the beginning of the labor pains. Then they will deliver you over to oppression, and they will kill you, and you will be hated by all nations because of my name, Jesus. And then many will trip, and they will deliver over one another and hate one another. And many false prophets will get up, and will lead many astray. Now because of the multiplication of lawlessness, the love of many will become cold. Yet whoever endures to the completion of the world or the completion of his life will be saved from destruction. This good message about the kingdom will be proclaimed to the whole inhabited earth as a testimony to all the nations, and then the completion of this world will arrive. So then, when you notice the abhorrent thing that is making the waste, which was declared through the prophet Daniel, standing in the pure place. The reader must be comprehending. Then those in Judea must run away into the mountains. Whoever is on the housetop must not descend to pick up things out of his house, and whoever is in the field must not turn back behind him to pick up his outer garment. Now, how terrible it is for those who are pregnant and those who are nursing babies during those days. Now you must be continually praying that your flight might not occur in winter, nor on a Sabbath day, when the city gates are closed. For there will then be great oppression, such as hasn't occurred from the beginning of the world until now, nor under any circumstances shall it occur again. So if those days hadn't been cut short, no flesh at all would be saved from destruction. Yet because of the chosen ones, those days will be cut short. Then if anyone says to you, "Notice, here is the Anointed One," or "Here he is," you must not believe it. For those who falsely represent themselves as anointed ones and prophets will get up, and they will give great signs and miracles, in order to lead astray, if possible, even the chosen ones. Notice, I have declared it to you beforehand. So then, if they say to you, "Notice, he is in the wasteland," you must not go out. "Notice, he is in the storerooms," you must not believe it. For as the lightning comes out from the east, and appears as far as the west, this is how it will be at the presence of the Son of Humanity, at the beginning of the last age. Wherever the corpse is, there the vultures will be gathered. Now immediately after the oppression of those days, the sun will be darkened, and the moon won't give her beams. Isaiah 13, verse 10. And the stars will fall from the sky, and the powers of the heavens will be shaken. Isaiah 34, verse 4. Then the sign of the Son of Humanity will appear in heaven or the sky, and then all the tribes of the earth will grieve, and they will see the Son of Humanity coming on the clouds of heaven or the sky, with much power and esteem. Daniel 7, verse 13. Then he will dispatch his messengers with a loud-sounding trumpet, and they will gather his chosen ones from the four winds. Isaiah 27, verse 13. From one extremity of heaven or the sky to the other. Now you must learn an illustration from the fig tree. When its branch has already become tender and sprouts out its leaves, you know that summer is near. So, too, when you notice all these things, you must know that he is near, at the doors. Truly I say to you, by no means shall this era pass away until all these things occur. Heaven and earth will pass away, yet my words will by no means pass away. Isaiah 40, verse 8. Now concerning that day and hour, the exact time, no one is aware, neither the messengers of the heavens, nor the Son, but only the Father. For as it was during the days of Noah, this is how it will be at the presence of the Son of Humanity, at the beginning of the last age. For during those days before the flood, they were chewing or eating and drinking, marrying and being given in marriage, until the day that Noah entered into the ark, and they didn't know about it until the flood came and took them all away. This is how it will be at the presence of the Son of Humanity, at the beginning of the last age. Then there will be 2 men in the field, one will be taken along, and one will be left. There will be 2 women grinding at the millstone, one will be taken along, and one will be left. So then, you must be continually wide awake, because you aren't aware of on what day your master is going to come. Now you must know this. If the head of the house had been aware of what watch or period of the night the thief was going to come, he would have been wide awake and wouldn't have let his house be tunneled into. For this reason, you must also be continually ready, because the Son of Humanity is going to come at an hour that you aren't supposing. Therefore, who is the faithful and intelligent slave whom the master has placed over his house slaves, to give them their nourishment in the appropriate time period? Happy is that slave whom his master will find doing like this when he comes. Truly I say to you, he will place him over all his possessions. Yet if that bad slave says in his heart, "My master is delaying," and begins to beat his fellow slaves, and to eat and drink with the drunken, the master of that slave will arrive on a day when he doesn't expect him, and at an hour that he doesn't know, and will cut him into pieces, and appoint a place for him with the hypocrites, where there will be weeping and the grinding of teeth. Matthew chapter 25. Then the heavenly kingdom will be like 10 virgins, who took their lanterns and went out to meet the bridegroom. Now 5 of them were stupid, and 5 were intelligent. For when the stupid took their lanterns, they took no oil with them. Yet the intelligent took oil in pails with their lanterns. Now while the bridegroom delayed, they all nodded off, and were lying down asleep. Now in the middle of the night, a yell occurred, "Notice, the bridegroom! You must come out to meet him!" Then all those virgins got up, and they raised the wick on their lanterns. Now the stupid said to the intelligent, "You must give us some of your oil, because our lanterns are going out." Yet the intelligent responded by saying, "No, because at some time there might not be sufficient for us and you too. Rather, you must go to those who sell it and buy some for yourselves." Now while they went away to buy it, the bridegroom came, and those who were ready entered with him into the wedding festivities. Note: the wedding festivities are symbolic of the harvest feast of the last age, Pentecost, the 50th day festival. And the door was locked. Now later the rest of the virgins also came and said, "Master, Master, open up for us." Yet in response he said, "Truly I say to you, I'm not acquainted with you." So then, you must be continually wide awake, because you aren't aware of the day or the hour. For it is just like a human, who, when he was going traveling, called his own slaves, and delivered over to them his possessions. To one person he gave 5 bags, each containing 6,000 number 80 coins, to another person 2 bags, and to a third person 1 bag, to each according to his own ability. Then he went traveling. Immediately the person who got the 5 bags went and traded with them, and gained another 5 bags, each containing 6,000 number 80 coins. In the same manner, the person with the 2 bags gained another 2. Yet the person who got the 1 bag went away and excavated in the earth, and hid his master's silver coins. Now after a long time, the master of those slaves came and settled accounts with them. So the person who got the 5 bags approached and brought to him another 5 bags, each containing 6,000 number 80 coins, and said, "Master, you delivered 5 bags over to me. Notice, I have gained another 5 bags." His master affirmed to him, "Well done, good and faithful slave. You are faithful over a few things. I will place you over many. Enter into the joy of your master." Now the person with the 2 bags, each containing 6,000 number 80 coins, approached and said, "Master, you delivered 2 bags over to me. Notice, I have gained another 2 bags." His master affirmed to him, "Well done, good and faithful slave. You are faithful over a few things. I will place you over many. Enter into the joy of your master." Now also the person who had gotten the 1 bag, containing 6,000 number 80 coins, approached and said, "Master, I knew that you were a hard human, harvesting where you didn't plant seeds, and gathering where you didn't scatter. So, because I was afraid, I went away and hid your bag in the earth. Notice, you have what is yours." Now in response, his master said to him, "You wicked and lazy slave, you were aware that I harvest where I didn't plant seeds, and gather where I didn't scatter. So then, it was binding on you to deposit my silver coins with the bankers, and upon my coming, I might have retrieved what is mine together with the interest. So then, take the bag away from him, and give it to the person who has the 10 bags. For whoever uses what he has, more will be given to him, and he will have an abundance. Yet whoever doesn't use what he has, even what he has will be taken away from him. Now throw the unprofitable slave out into outer darkness, where there will be weeping and the grinding of teeth. Now when the Son of Humanity comes in his esteem, and all the messengers with him, then he will sit on his esteemed throne. Then all the nations will be gathered in front of him, and he will cut them off from one another, just like a shepherd cuts the sheep off from the goats. Then he will stand the sheep on his right, and the goats on his left. Then the king will declare to those on his right, "Come on, you who have been blessed by my Father. Inherit a share of the kingdom that has been made ready for you from the foundation of the world. For I was hungry, and you gave me something to eat. I was thirsty, and you gave me something to drink. I was a stranger, and you took me in. Naked, and you clothed me. I was weak, sick, or hurt, and you took care of me. I was in jail, and you came to me." Then those who were just will respond to him by saying, "Master, when did we notice you hungry and nourish you, or thirsty and give you something to drink? Now when did we notice you a stranger and take you in, or naked and clothe you? Now when did we notice you weak, sick or hurt, or in jail, and come to you?" Then in response, the king will declare to them, "Truly I say to you, inasmuch as you did it for one of these, even the least of my brothers and sisters, you did it for me." Then he will declare to those also on his left, "Go from me, you cursed ones, into the fire of the last age, to be destroyed in the second death." Revelation 20, verses 14 through 15. That has been made ready for the adversary, Satan, and his messengers. For I was hungry, and you didn't give me something to eat. I was thirsty, and you didn't give me something to drink. I was a stranger, and you didn't take me in. Naked, and you didn't clothe me. Weak, sick or hurt, and in jail, and you didn't take care of me. Then they also will respond by saying, Master, when did we notice you hungry or thirsty, or a stranger, or naked, or weak, sick or hurt, or in jail, and didn't serve you? Then he will respond to them by saying, Truly I say to you, inasmuch as you didn't do for one of the least of these, you didn't do it for me. Then these will go away into the punishment of the last age, destruction by the fire of the second death. Yet those who were just into life in the last age. Matthew chapter 26. Now it occurred when Jesus had completed all these sayings, that he said to his students, You are aware that the Passover observance is going to come after 2 days, and the Son of Humanity is going to be delivered over to be fastened to a stake. Then the chief priests and the older ones of the people were gathered in the courtyard of the chief priest, called Caiaphas, and they planned how to take hold of Jesus by fraud and kill him. Yet they were saying, Not during the festival, so that a turmoil might not occur among the people. Now when Jesus was in Bethany at Simon the leper's house, a woman came to him with an alabaster vase of very precious aromatic herb oil, and she poured it over his head while he was lying back at the table. Now when the students noticed it, they resented it, and said, Why this destruction? For this could have been disposed of for a great amount, and the money given to the poor. Now Jesus knew this, and said to them, Why are you making tiring labor for this woman? For she has done an ideal work for me. For you are going to always have the poor with you, yet you aren't going to always have me. For by draining this aromatic herb oil onto my body, she has done it for my burial. Truly I say to you, wherever this good message is proclaimed in the whole world, what she has done will also be spoken of as a memorial to her. Then one of the 12, who was called Judas the Iscariot, note, Iscariot is Hebrew for the man from Kirioth in Judea, went to the chief priests and said, What are you willing to give me, so I will deliver him over to you? Now they presented him with 30, number 320 silver coins. So from that time he began seeking for an opportunity to deliver him over. Now on the first day of the festival of the unleavened biscuits, the students came to Jesus and said, Where do you want us to make things ready for you to eat the Passover? Now he said, You must go into the city to a certain one, and you must say to him, The teacher says, My appointed time is near. I am holding the Passover with my students at your place. So the students did as Jesus had arranged with them, and they made things ready for the Passover. Now as evening, 6 to 9 p.m. came on, he was lying back at the table with the 12 students. Now as they were eating, he said, Truly I say to you, that one of you will deliver me over. Now they were tremendously sorry, and each one began to say to him, It isn't I, is it, Master? Now in response, he said, The one who dips his hand with me in the dish of sauce, he will deliver me over. The Son of Humanity is going away, just as it has been written about him. Yet how terrible it is for that human through whom the Son of Humanity is delivered over. It would have been ideal for that human if he hadn't been born. Now in response, Judas, the one who delivered him over, said, It isn't I, is it, Rabbi? Or teacher? He said to him, it is as you have said." Now as they were eating, Jesus took a biscuit, and after he had given the blessing, he broke it, and as he gave it to the students, he said, "You must take this and must eat it. This represents my body." Then he took a cup, and after he had given thanks, he gave it to them and said, "All of you must drink from this, for this represents my blood of the new contract that is going to be poured out for many for the forgiveness of wrongdoings. Now I say to you, under no circumstances shall I from this time on drink of this product of the grapevine, until that day, the day of the last age, when I shall drink it new, or fresh, with you, in my Father's kingdom." Then after they sang a song of praise, they went out to the mountain of Olives. Then Jesus said to them, "All of you will trip in connection with me on this night, for it has been written, 'I will strike the shepherd, and the sheep of the flock will be scattered.'" Zechariah 13, verse 7. "Then after I have been awakened, I will proceed you into Galilee." Yet in response, Peter said to him, "Even though everyone will trip in connection with you, I will never trip." Jesus affirmed to him, "Truly I say to you, that on this night, before a rooster crows, 3 times you will disown me." Peter said to him, "Even if I have to die together with you, under no circumstances will I disown you." All the students also said likewise. Then Jesus went with them to a piece of land called Gethsemane, and he said to his students, "Sit here while I go over there and pray." Then when he had taken aside Peter and the 2 sons of Zebedee, James and John, he began to be sorrowful and depressed. Then he said to them, "My sentient being is exceedingly sorrowful, to the point of death. Stay here and be wide awake with me." Then, when he had gone before them a little, he fell on his face, praying and saying, "My Father, if it is possible, let this cup pass away from me. However, not as I want, but as you want." Then he came to the students and found them lying down asleep. So he said to Peter, "So, aren't you strong enough to be wide awake for 1 hour with me? You must be continually wide awake and praying, so that you shall not enter into testing. The spirit, on the one hand, is eager, yet, on the other hand, the flesh is weak." Again, for a second time, he went away and prayed, saying, "My Father, if this can't pass away unless I drink it, what you want must be done." Then, when he came again, he found them lying down asleep, for their eyes were heavy. So he left them again, and went away and prayed a 3rd time, saying the same words again. Then he came to the students, and said to them, "Must you be lying down asleep still further and resting? Notice, the hour is already drawing near, and the Son of Humanity is being delivered over into the hands of wrongdoers. Get up, we must go. Notice, the one who is going to deliver me over is already drawing near." Now while he was still speaking, notice, Judas, one of the 12, came, and with him a great crowd, with swords and clubs, from the chief priests and the older ones of the people. Now the one who was going to deliver him over gave them a sign, saying, "Whomever I shall kiss, he is the one. Take hold of him." Then he immediately came to Jesus and said, "Rejoice, Rabbi," or teacher, and kissed him fondly. Yet Jesus said to him, "Fellow, do that for which you are present." Then they approached and put their hands on Jesus and took hold of him. Now notice, one of those with Jesus stretched out his hand and pulled out his sword, and struck the slave of the chief priest, removing his ear. Then Jesus said to him, "You must return your sword back into its place, for whoever takes up a sword will be destroyed in the destruction by a sword, or Almighty's word." Or do you have the impression that I'm not able to encourage my Father, and he will station by my side at this very moment more than 12 legions of messengers? How then shall the writings be fulfilled, seeing that it has to occur like this? In that hour, Jesus said to the crowds, "Have you come out with swords and clubs to apprehend me as after a robber? I used to sit day after day in the sacred place teaching, and you didn't take hold of me. Now this whole thing has occurred so that the writings of the prophets might be fulfilled." Musical composition 22 verse 6 and Isaiah 53 verse 7. Then all of the students left him and ran away. Musical composition 88 verse 8. Now those who had taken hold of Jesus led him away to Caiaphas, the chief priest, where the Bible scholars and the older ones were gathered. Now Peter was following him from a distance until he came to the courtyard of the chief priest. Then he entered inside and began sitting with the assistants, or deputies, to see the completion of the proceedings. Now the chief priests and the whole Jewish council kept seeking false testimony against Jesus, so that they could put him to death. And they didn't find any, even though many false witnesses approached. Yet later 2 approached and said, "He affirmed, 'I can demolish the temple of Almighty and rebuild it in 3 days.'" Then the chief priest rose up and said to him, "Don't you have any response to what these testify against you?" Yet Jesus kept silent. Isaiah 53 verse 7. So the chief priest said to him, "I put you under oath to the living Almighty to tell us if you are the Anointed One, the Son of Almighty." Jesus said to him, "It is as you have said. Moreover, I say to you, from this time on you will see the Son of Humanity sitting at the right hand of the power." Musical composition 110, verse 1. And coming on the clouds of heaven or the sky. Daniel 7, verse 13. Then the chief priest tore his garments, saying, "He has slandered. What need do we still have of witnesses? Notice now you have heard the slandering. What do you suppose?" Now in response they said, "He is liable to death." Then they spit in his face and punished him with their fists. Now they slapped him, saying, "Prophesy to us, Anointed One, who is it that hit you?" Now Peter was sitting outside in the courtyard. Then one servant girl came to him and said, "You were also with Jesus the Galilean." Yet he disowned him in front of everyone, saying, "I'm not aware of what you are speaking about." Now when he went out into the entryway, another one noticed him, and she said to those who were there, "He was with Jesus the Nazarene." And again he disowned him with an oath, saying, "I'm not acquainted with the human." Now after a little while, those who were standing there approached and said to Peter, "You are also truly one of them, for your speech makes you evident too." Then he began to conditionally damn himself and promise with an oath saying, "I'm not acquainted with the human." And immediately a rooster crowed. Then Peter remembered the declaration which Jesus had declared, "Before a rooster crows, you will disown me 3 times." Then he went outside and wept bitterly. Matthew chapter 27. Now as early morning, or 6 a.m., came on, all the chief priests and the older ones of the people held a consultation against Jesus, in order to put him to death. Then they tied him up, and led him away, and delivered him over to Pilate, the governor. Then when Judas, the one who had delivered him over, noticed that he had been condemned, he regretted it, and turned over the 30 number 320 silver coins to the chief priests and the older ones, saying, "I have done something that is wrong by delivering over innocent blood." Yet they said, "What is that to us? You must see to that." Then he tossed the number 320 silver coins into the temple, and departed, and went away, and hanged himself. Now the chief priest took the number 320 silver coins, and said, "It isn't allowed to throw them into the Corban, or the treasury, since they are the price of blood." Now they held a consultation, and bought with them the potter's field, for a burial place for strangers. For this reason that field has been called the field of blood, even until today. Then that which was declared through the prophet Jeremiah was fulfilled, saying, "Now they took the 30 number 320 silver coins, the price of the valued one, on whom some of the sons of Israel set the price. And they gave them for the potter's field, just as the master arranged with me." Zechariah 11, verses 12 through 13. Now Jesus stood in front of the governor, and the governor asked him, saying, "Are you the king of the Jews?" Now Jesus affirmed to him, "It is as you say." Then, while he was being accused by the chief priests and the older ones, he didn't give any response. Then Pilate said to him, "Don't you hear how many things they testify against you?" And he didn't respond to them. Isaiah 53, verse 7. Not even with one declaration, so that the governor marveled very much. Now at the festival, the governor followed the custom of releasing to the crowd one prisoner that they were wanting. Now they had then a notorious prisoner called Barabbas, or son of the father. So then, while they were gathered, Pilate said to them, "Whom do you want me to release to you, Barabbas or Jesus, who is called the Anointed One?" For he was aware that it was because of envy that they had delivered him over. Now when he sat down upon the platform, his wife dispatched someone to him, saying, "Don't have anything to do with that just person, for today I have suffered greatly in a dream because of him." Now the chief priests and the older ones persuaded the crowd to request Barabbas, or son of the father, yet to destroy Jesus. Now in response, the governor said to them, "Which of the two do you want me to release to you?" Now they said, "Barabbas." Pilate said to them, "So then, what shall I do with Jesus, who is called the Anointed One?" They all said, "He must be fastened to a stake." Yet he affirmed, "Why? What bad thing has he done?" Yet they yelled more abundantly, Musical composition 22 verses 12 through 13, saying, "He must be fastened to a stake." Now when Pilate noticed that this wasn't benefiting anything, but rather a turmoil was occurring, he got some water and washed off his hands in front of the crowd, saying, "I am innocent of the blood of this just person. You must see to it." Then, in response, the entire people said, "His blood will be on us and on our children." Then he released Barabbas to them. Now after he had Jesus whipped, Isaiah 53 verse 5, he delivered him over to be fastened to a stake. Then the governor's soldiers took Jesus along into the palace, or the military headquarters, and gathered the whole military company to him. Then they stripped him, and placed an officer's purplish-red jacket around him. Then they braided a winter's crown out of thorns, and placed it on his head, and put a reed in his right hand. Then they fell on their knees in front of him, and mocked him. Musical composition 69 verse 19, and Isaiah 53 verse 3, saying, "Rejoice, King of the Jews!" Then they spit on him, Isaiah 50 verse 6, and took the reed, and began beating him on the head. Then, after they had mocked him, they stripped the officer's jacket off of him, and put his garments back on him, and led him away to fasten him to a stake. Isaiah 53 verse 7. Now as they went out, they found a Cyrenian human, from Cyrene in Libya, North Africa, named Simon. They forced him into service to pick up his stake. Then when they came to a place called Golgotha, which is called the place of the skull, or a skull-shaped hill, they gave him wine mixed with bile, a bitter, pain-numbing drink, to drink. Musical composition 69 verse 21. And when he tasted it, he wouldn't drink it. Now when they had fastened him to the stake, they divided his garments by throwing a lot. Musical composition 22 verse 18. Then they sat down and began keeping watch over him there, and they placed over his head the written charge against him. "This is Yesun, the King of the Jews." Then 2 robbers were fastened to stakes together with him, Isaiah 53 verse 12, one on the right and one on the left. Now those who went by kept slandering him, shaking their heads, musical composition 22 verse 7, and saying, "Demolisher of the temple, and builder of it in 3 days, save yourself. If you are the Son of Almighty, descend from the stake." Likewise, the chief priests with the Bible scholars and the older ones, while mocking him, kept saying, "He saved others, but he can't save himself. So he's the King of Israel, is he? Let him descend now from the stake, and we will believe him. He had confidence in Almighty. Let him rescue him now, if he wants him." Musical composition 22 verse 8. For he said that, "I am Almighty's son." Now the robbers also, who were fastened to stakes together with him, were reproaching him in the same manner. Now from the 6th hour, or 12 noon, until the 9th hour, or 3 p.m., darkness occurred over the entire land. Amos 8 verse 9. Now about the 9th hour, or 3 p.m., Jesus exclaimed with a loud voice, saying, "Eloi, Eloi, lama sabachthani," which in the native language of Mideasterners means, my Almighty, why have you forsaken me? Musical composition 22, verse 11. Now some of those who stood there, when they heard this, began saying, He is summoning Elijah. Then immediately one from among them ran and got a sponge, and filled it with vinegar, or sour wine, and stuck it on a reed, and tried to give it to him to drink. Musical composition 69, verse 21. Yet the rest kept saying, Let him be! Let's see if Elijah will come to save him. Now Jesus yelled out again with a loud voice, and let out his spirit, or stopped breathing. Now notice, the curtain of the temple was split in two, from the top to the bottom, and the earth quaked, and the rocks were split, and the tombs were opened. Then many bodies of the pure ones who had fallen asleep were waking up. Then, when they came out of their tombs after his awakening, they entered into the pure city, or Jerusalem, and were disclosed to many. Now when the captain and those with him who were keeping watch over Jesus noticed the quake and these occurrences, they were tremendously afraid, saying, Truly, this was Almighty's Son. Now there were many women gazing from a distance, musical composition 38, verse 11, who had followed Jesus from Galilee, serving him. Among them were Mary the Magdalene, Mary the mother of Alphaeus' sons, James the little one, and Joseph, and Salome, the mother of Zebedee's sons, James and John. Now as evening came on, that is, Friday after 3 p.m., but before sunset, there came a rich human from Arimathea, named Joseph, who was also himself a student of Jesus. He went to Pilate and requested the body of Jesus. Then Pilate ordered that it be given back to him. Then Joseph took the body and folded it up in a clean linen sheet, and placed it in his new tomb, Isaiah 53, verse 9, that he had quarried in the bedrock. Then when he had rolled a large stone against the door of the tomb, he went away. Now Mary, the Magdalene, was there, and the other Mary, the mother of Alphaeus' sons, James the little one, and Joseph, sitting in front of the burial vault. Now on the next day, which was after the preparation day, that is, Friday after sunset, the chief priests and the Pharisees were gathered to Pilate, saying, Master, we remember that while he was still living, that deceiver said, After 3 days I will be awakened. So then, order the burial vault to be secured until the 3rd day, so that not at any time might the students come and steal him, and say to the people, He has been awakened from the dead. And the last deception will be worse than the first. Yet Pilate affirmed to them, You have a detail of soldiers. You must go and make it secure, as you are aware. Now they went and secured the burial vault by sealing the stone with the detail of soldiers. Matthew chapter 28. On yet the evening, or 6 to 9 p.m. of the Sabbath day, that is, Friday evening after sunset, as it was lighting up before sunrise, on Sunday, the 1st day after the Sabbath day, Mary the Magdalene and the other Mary, the mother of Alphaeus' sons, James the little one, and Joseph, went to gaze at the burial vault. Now notice, a great quake occurred, for a messenger from the Master had descended out of heaven, and after approaching, rolled away the stone, and began sitting upon it. Now the noticeable form of him was like lightning, and his clothes were as white as snow. Now the keepers quaked from fear of him, and became like dead persons. Now in response, the messenger said to the women, "Stop being afraid, for I am aware that you are seeking for Jesus, who has been fastened to a stake. He isn't here, for he has been awakened, just as he said. Come here, notice the place where he was lying. Now you must go quickly and tell his students, he has been awakened from the dead, and notice, he is preceding you into Galilee. There you will see him. Notice, I have told you. Now you must go quickly and tell his students, he has been awakened from the dead, and notice, he is preceding you into Galilee. There you will see him. Notice, I have told you." Then they quickly went away from the tomb with fear and great joy, and ran to report to his students. Now notice, Jesus met them, saying, "Rejoice!" Now they approached and took hold of his feet, and worshipped him. Then Jesus said to them, "Stop being afraid. You must go and report this to my brothers, so that they might go away into Galilee, and there they will see me." Now as they were going, notice, some of the detail of soldiers went into the city and reported to the chief priests everything that had occurred. Then, when they had gathered with the older ones, and had held a consultation, they gave a considerable sum in silver coins to the soldiers, saying, "You must say, his students came by night, and stole him after we had fallen asleep. Now if this is heard by the governor, we will persuade him, and fix it so that you won't have to worry about it." Now they took the silver coins, and did as they were taught. And this saying has been affirmed by the Jews far and wide to this day. Now the 11 students went into Galilee, to the mountain where Jesus had arranged with them. Then, when they noticed him, they worshipped him, yet they hesitated. Then Jesus approached and spoke to them, saying, "All authority in heaven and on earth has been given to me. So then, you must go and make students of all the nations. To do this, you must be immersing them in the name of the Father, and the Son, and the pure Spirit." Jesus is the Son's name, the Father's name, John 17, verses 11 through 12, and the pure Spirit's name, John chapter 14, verse 26, and chapter 16, verses 13 through 15, and must be teaching them to be continually keeping everything that I have directed you. Now notice, I'm going to be with you for all the days up to the conclusion of the age, the beginning of the last age.